Okay, in this tutorial, we're actually going to use the Puppet Master features in After Effects to take a still image and make it move and make it animate. But before we can actually do that in After Effects, we actually have a little bit of work in Photoshop to do. So I've gone ahead and loaded up Photoshop. You want to find an image that has a person, an animal, something that's natural or organic. We don't want to use a car or a vehicle or a plane or anything like that. So here I have a photo here of Vince Carter dunking a basketball, and we're going to make him move. But first, we need to separate him from the background. So we're going to do a couple steps here. So first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to use my lasso tool here, and I'm just going to just roughly kind of go around Vince Carter like so, like that. Okay, so I've selected him. And we're going to go up to Edit, Content Aware Fill. Now, it created a new layer because it did output to new layer. If you do it to current layer, it will override your entire image. So I use new layer. It's non-destructive. So there we go. Hit Control D to deselect. And now let's go ahead and duplicate our background layer. We can select our background layer and hit Control J to duplicate that, and we'll drag that above our little mask from before. So now we kind of are back to square one. This time, instead of the lasso tool, I'm going to use the object selection tool. Okay? And I'm going to draw a box around Vince Carter. And just like that, it says this is my object that I want to select. Now, I do want to hold down Alt and select that light, maybe that light. In fact, I might change it to my magic wand and hit Alt and hold down Alt and subtract that, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. This will work for what we needed to do. Okay, great. I've got him there. And then we'll come down to the lower right. With that layer selected, we're going to mask him out. So now I have got Vince Carter separated from the background. Let's go ahead and save this out. So File, Save As. And for now, I'm just going to save this to my desktop. And I'm going to save that out. I actually already have one, so I'm going to overwrite this one. Save it as a Photoshop document, a .psd, and click Save. Yes, I want to replace mine. Click OK. Okay, so at this point, we're ready to jump into After Effects. I'll go File, Import File, and on my desktop, I'm going to find that file that I just created. There it is. Click Import, and I'm going to import as footage, and I can create a composition if I want. Let's do that, and click Import. Yes, composition, editable layer styles, click OK. There we go. So now I've got Vince Carter. It's in a composition. If I double click it, there are my layers. So this is what we're going to work with now in After Effects. And of course, we can label these. Just right click on it, rename it, call this one Vince. And the other ones are the background. That's fine. So what I'm going to do with Vince is I am going to come up here to this little thumbtack tool, hold that down, and choose position. So let's put a position, say, right there. And now we're going to grab another tool. We're going to grab a Starch Pin, and I'm going to put a Starch Pin on his bicep and a Starch Pin on his forearm. And while we're doing this, we can actually show the mesh. So let's click on this little box next to Mesh, Show, and you can see there's a mesh around our person here, around Vince. Okay. I'm going to click a Starch Pin here in his chest, and you can see the more pins we're putting in, the more detailed the mesh becomes, right? So let's do that, and then okay, let's go up here and change to our bend tool, our bend pin, and we'll put one on his shoulder. Maybe we'll put one on his elbow and on his wrist. Okay, and maybe we'll put one on his elbow here and one on his neck right there. Okay, so you can see that it's created a nice mesh. So let's go ahead and deselect our mesh for now, turn that off, and every time you created a pin, down in the timeline, it creates a keyframe. So you can see all of our keyframes here. So let's now move out into time. And for this case, I'm just going to move out to 10 seconds. And we're going to use our selection tool and make some changes. So let's see here. Let's move our position a little bit, like so. Let's take our rotation tool and kind of rotate his head there a little bit. Maybe bring this arm down a little bit. And then we'll rotate his shoulder up. Maybe rotate his elbow. Rotate his wrist. You don't want to do too much. You just want, it just needs to be subtle to be believable. You do it too much and it's just kind of crazy. So now if I just push play, you can see that he's actually being animated. So this is how you use the puppet tool in After Effects to create some really cool animations from a still image. I hope this helps. I look forward to seeing your work in class.